right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm David Huff, CPA with DW Huff Consulting, a CPA firm that's more than just a CPA firm. So here we are, Friday. Again, we made it through another week, and I guess it's time to talk about our news from the front lines of business. So just coming off the holiday here, so things are starting to kind of kick up again. And I guess it's worth noting that the IRS has announced that we're going to be starting the filing season for personal tax returns on January 23rd. So some people who may have already seen W-2s and that kind of thing coming through in the mail, particularly some of the larger payroll service and companies seem to be, pretty on the ball with that. So, but it doesn't do any good for a while, because even if that's all you have is a W-2 as far as filing goes, you can't do anything with it with the IRS. So sit tight on that. But other information in the news. So energy credit recap. So we talk about this from time to time, and I guess people get a lot of, there's some confusion there, because we have the energy efficient home credit down here and a residential clean energy installation credit. So two different things here. One, theoretically, both of them offer a credit of 30% of the cost, but the energy efficient home improvement credit is not really great, because that one has a limit every year. So they limit you to there's an annual limit that they limit you to. And there's only a few $100 of a credit that you'll receive, whereas the clean energy installation part of it has no limit. So that's your solar panels and things like that. That'll get you the big credit. So if you're looking for credits, definitely keep that in mind, that some things aren't going to do you very good. So don't spend as much on, say, like the windows and those smaller improvements. And if you're just chasing after the credit, then the solar panels or the heating systems would be a more, I guess, more advantageous from a tax standpoint. So just want to recap that, because it gets a little confusing with the electric vehicles and all kind of stuff going on out there. But be careful. I think I find over and over again that when people install those things and kind of chase the tax savings, a lot of times the overall financial benefit's not that great, because of the cost of upkeeping these things and things like that. So just be aware of that, and there are limitations. So also up, student loan news. So we see recently a couple services are in trouble for not providing statements, and this all has to do with that COVID break, where they basically gave everybody some time off of making payments, and in some cases the interest didn't accrue. But some of these servicing companies who kind of handle receiving the payments and applying them to the balance didn't send out statements. There's all kind of trouble there. But and also I've seen more and more discussions from people, and they just seem to be kind of in awe and confused as why these loan balances are so high. So typically the interest rate, I just did a little illustration at 4%, but ordinarily these rates aren't particularly high on these loans, but the balances can be pretty decently high. And the fact that there's differences in how interest is accrued, right? So a subsidized loan, while the student is in school, no interest accrues. But there is also another part of that equation when you apply for financial aid that is unsubsidized. So the whole time you're in school, plus any deferment, that interest keeps building up. So I just whipped out a quick example here of a $50,000 loan in just over 4 years. So if that was not a subsidized loan, and this student, graduated and is going to start making payments sometime in the future after he starts working, and I guess being very optimistic and assuming that this student graduated in 4 years, that $50,000 balance is now $58,000. So, and we know technically, some of the stuff might be spread out over years as far as the principal part, but generally, that's an $8,000 interest accrual. So, and if he takes a little while to get a loan, because a lot of times they don't make you start making payments on loans until you get a job, so you may have another year or two of deferral going on there. So, before one payment gets made, you could have $9,000 worth of additional charges due to the interest added to that principal balance. And I looked at what the typical payment would be on that size loan. It's somewhere around $239 a month. So, as we see here, at that monthly payment, we're not even, they do allocate some between principal and interest, but we can see here we've not even made it. We've not even got anywhere, even after a year of making payments. We're not even anywhere in sight of the original principal balance. We're strictly in that, that interest that got added to the loan. So if you have any other kind of deferrals as time goes on, so COVID being one, so any kind of natural disaster, or if you have an economic difficulty, on us on actually in any of those, once you graduate all those loans, the interest keeps accruing, and it's very easy to just end up with a massive amount of additional principal that's added to the balance, and it just takes a long time to dig yourself out of it. So even with the low interest rates, so I think that's why this is something to be very, very careful about, because they make it so easy to apply. I mean, anybody with a pulse and going to any kind of school can apply for something. And I just wanted to kind of reiterate that, because it's came up in a couple of discussions this week, and we see how that balance doesn't go down that easy for a number of reasons. And so definitely, as with anything else, be careful when you're taking on that debt. And just because it's easy to get, don't necessarily take the maximum that is offered to you. So definitely keep an eye on that, because it can cripple your finances for a long time. All right, so some fun stuff here. This Epstein list. So we've seen news, the names are being released of the Epstein list there, and it's expected that all sorts of celebrities and politicians are going to be showing up on this list. But now there's a way to make money on it. So you can bet on this stuff. So I don't know. I hadn't seen that yet on my FanDuel account, but yeah. So there's odds for pretty much everybody out there. So just as I was reading this USA Today article, they talked a little about some of the favorites here. So Donald Trump and all those other, Hillary and some other high-ranking politicians. Right now was a 3-to-1 odds on their name showing up on the list. And then when we go down and read a little bit further, we see some other somewhat lesser known, but still in the public eye, celebrities and politicians, like California's governor. His odds are 10-to-1. So I just thought it was funny, because I guess the list ended up being kind of a non-event. Seems like there was so much anticipation of this blockbuster, just news rush, and it's turned out to be largely nothing. But anyway, you can place some bets and see what else transpires. So with that, we're kind of wrapping things up here. So my closing thoughts for the week here is now we're getting into the 12th night here. So January 5th, it kind of ends for the Christmas season. So all that festivity, Christmas, New Year's, all stuff is now gone, and we are now getting into 12th day. So your Christmas decorations come down, and if you're in the New Orleans area, you start thinking about Mardi Gras and putting up your carnival decorations. So on to the next holiday, and with that, I'll wish you all a happy weekend, and we'll see you out here next week.